I am on my phone a lot, and that's a problem. That is a huge problem. When I say on my phone, I mean like I'm just looking up YouTube videos, educational YouTube videos, and just indulging in, I guess, the education side of YouTube. But it's merely a facade. Like, yes, you are getting information, but at what cost? Like, when are you going to use this information? Why do you need to know uh, that Elon Musk created a spacecraft that can land now and can be reused? Like, it has no benefit to your life at all. The only way it would is if you watch things that help you achieve your goals. A lot of long form content, it's just short form content but just longer. Like, you have the fancy edits and the cuts and all these things to keep your attention, but in reality it's actually worsening the problem. When I think of the fact that TikTok and Instagram have it so that you can never get to the bottom, and basically that's what you're subconsciously doing, is trying to get to the bottom, it sickens me. It sickens me because I'm a victim, and many of the people I know are victims. My own parents are victims. And a lot of people don't even notice this. A lot of people see, oh, it's just a way to turn off your brain for a second. Obviously, it depends on what you want to do with your life, or rather, if you have completed what you want to do in life. I know I haven't. And I know that if it weren't for social media, I and a lot of my friends and family would be a lot more ambitious with life. They would be interested in doing other things. It's it's draining. It really is. It really is. And realizing that is the first step. But what are you gonna do about it? It's like, oh, just delete social media. Wrong. It's not that simple. Because when you're like me, who's been struggling with social media for years, pretty much most of his life, like, I'm 21 years old. I definitely did get video games before I got a phone, but it's the dopamine effect that it gives. It's the excitement that it gives when it's not really exciting. It's like a drug. It's like, imagine saying I was taking drugs since I was 8 years old. Hell, I had games before 8 years old. But just imagine hearing yourself saying, I was on this drug, this stimulant drug, for since I was 8 years old. I'm 21 years old now. It's incredible how long and how involved it was in my life. And so now I'm at the point where I'm trying to break that off. See, I didn't truly realize and recognize self-improvement until I was 18 years old. And I would say even before that. I mean, I did, but that was different. I didn't come across the red pill niche until I was 18 years old. Yeah. And so 3 years later, I'm still trying to play catch up. I'm still trying to do all of the things that I should have done when I was younger. And it's not even necessarily about certain things you have to do or certain tasks you have to do. It's so much of a it's more of a mindset. It's more of a mindset you have to have. And so I have to dismantle years and years. I want to say uh 13 years of conditioning, of brain development, to I have to get rid of it. 13 years of brainwashing. It has to go, right? If I want to cure this social media addiction, this need for constant stimulation, this need for the pleasure of the brain. 3 years versus 13. If it was literally if it was set up in a way that, okay, once those 13 years have passed, now I have to do 13 more years to get rid of it completely. If that's how it was set up, I'd be cooked, because I have 10 years left. I'm not saying I can't obtain success at 31, but I was sure like to at least start before then. At least start, you know? And so it's so easy to just go down this rabbit hole of scrolling and consuming content that means nothing to you, when deep down you have this desire to become wealthy, and not just for the materialistic things. You don't really care about the materialistic things. What you care about is you care about giving back. All the family members and the friends who gave to you, you care about giving it back tenfold. You care about living wherever you want, just having the freedom, not having to wake up early when you don't want to, not having to go to a job that you don't really like, not having to listen to somebody and do whatever they say, even though they don't care about you. They don't have you in their best interest. It's these things that I desire. I'm sure you desire too. But the only way to get there is through some kind of hard work, some kind of way of making that hard work like the social media you consume. Because it's not necessarily fun. If we think about it, nothing's fun. It's only objective. I'm sorry, it's only subjective. What's fun to me may not be fun to you. And so if I'm doing martial arts, uh, you might look at the vigorous workouts that I'm doing in the gym and you're like, oh, hell no, I can't get with that. How is this fun to you? I love it. I absolutely love it. But you can't get to that point if you don't start. You can't start enjoying going to the gym if you've never picked up a weight before, because the first time is going to suck. The first time didn't suck for me, but I don't know. I had a big enough reason to start working out, you could say. I think the hardest part about switching your mindset is replacing it with a new mindset, because you're out with the old. What's going to be the new thing? And the new thing is not going to be as glorious or glorified as the old thing. That's the only problem I have with switching habits. It's been time and time again where I've um, decided to just like go monk mode, but I don't truly have any connection or enjoyment for those activities I do, because I call myself enjoying those activities. I call these things, things I want to do. But when I actually get the time to do them and focus on them alone, it doesn't please my brain as much. And we know what that's from. That's from that constant social media stimulation. And that's the problem. And now you're in this cycle of, okay, I need to get away from social media, but the things I replace it with aren't as good as social media. And let me just go back to social media. And then rinse and repeat. It's a trap. It's like, you should be trying to escape. You should not be on social media. scrolling, doom scrolling. But like I said, you have to beat 13 years of your brain hardwiring itself when you've been trying to escape it for 3 years. Now, don't get me wrong. You could have made a lot of progress. Trust me, I've made a tremendous ton of progress. A crazy amount of progress. I'm not on it like I used to be. However, it's different now. It's like I use it in different ways. For example, I used to I never was a TikTok guy. I just never really liked the app. But if it wasn't TikTok, it used to be Instagram for me. And pretty much Instagram is the same thing as TikTok. And so I would go on Instagram and I just scroll for hours and hours and hours and hours. And I didn't really realize it until I was told what was really going on by the self-improvement space. It really takes somebody to flick that switch for you. And you can definitely flick it for yourself. But it's when you're asking for this big answer to this question, this big question. You think with this answer is going to change your whole life. Well, how do I get to uh, point A to Z? And the answer is with B. You got to get to B. You're like, well, that's not Z. I'm trying to get from A to Z. Why am I at B? That's interesting. Wow, wow, that's a good analogy. But they tell you to get to Z, first you got to go to B. And so B is symbolism for deleting those habits. Or at least it's the awareness, should I say. I would say C would be, starting to take action and deleting those habits. But the thing is, you just can't go in circles. You say you want something, you really do want something, but your brain is like, nah, we're comfortable over here. Why even try it? Because your brain doesn't know reality from fiction. It doesn't. So and so it thinks when you're on social media, it thinks you have no reason to fight for anything, no reason to grind for anything. You're comfortable. And if you're comfortable, why would you move? You have food, you have water, you have shelter, you have basic human connection. It's like what do I need to fight for? There's nobody attacking me. There's no threat to my life. I'm making decent money. I can still live. Why do I need to get better? Right? And so once you remove that, all of a sudden you realize, oh, I want this. In real life, I want this, but I have to do this to get it. And then you're just gonna be like, oh shit, okay. Now I actually gotta do this to get it. And that's when that starts. It's the same thing with video games. Video games is probably the best analogy for life. I ain't gonna lie to you. Video games is so much like real life. I know that sounds bad, doesn't it? It sounds like it doesn't make sense because in a video game you can't do the same things as in real life, but the fundamental structure is the same. When you're in a video game, you have a character that you need to level up, and they need to do missions, and you get rewards from the mission, and there's an ending. That's just like life. That's just like life. You're your character. You gotta level up your character, get skills, and you have to do missions. You get rewards from those missions. That's life. That's life. And for people who used to be chronic gamers, like I used to be a chronic game. I used to play games every day. Like I was just sure you can say I definitely was addicted. I will say that. Nowadays I don't even really play the game, but for people for people like me who used to like to play the game and progress in the game, if you kind of see the video game, or if you kind of see real life as that video game, all of a sudden it's easy because sure, life won't have the path written out for you like a video game, but you can write out your own path. You get what I'm saying? You're the main character who writes out their own path. In a game, the path is already set for you. It's like, no, instead of going that way, you have to go this way. Because if you go that way, then there's a barrier and then the map ends. No, if you go this way, that's how you progress. In real life, you can go either way. The world is free roam. Like you can do whatever you want. And sure, it might not be as quick and fun, and you can't finish the game of life in 2 hours, but all in all, it's similar. It's similar, if not the same. It's just slower. You're not going to get the success right away. But what I've learned is that you can alter what you find to be success, because you can say success is when you finally make it. Let's say if it's music, if you're finally in the industry and you have a platinum record, you got a Grammy, you got all of this stuff, right? You can say that's success. But success is also finishing the song. Success is also making the first song. It's doing those vocals that you need to do. It's laying down that drum kit. It's all of those little things that we don't think about that can be counted as success. Success for me, it could be that. It could be reading a page of a book. It could be meditation, journal, prayer. I have that on my wall right now. I have little tallies for meditation, journaling, and prayer. That could be success. And as long as you do those steps, you are successful. I'm telling you, life is easy if you can brainwash yourself in the right way. You've been brainwashed the wrong way your whole life. If you can brainwash yourself in the right way, that's when shit becomes easy. And see, I am talking myself through this shit because I'm not at the top. Sure, I want to be at the top, but my brain is addicted to these vices, these things that have been latched on me for so long. And so now you have to take that action to get rid of them, because we ain't perfect. I'm definitely not perfect, and you are not perfect either. And once you realize that, you can take action. It's like, oh, okay, I'm not perfect, so I have to work for this shit. I don't have the talent. I gotta work for this shit. Embrace infinity. Later.